I am very excited to be introducing our next speaker, Mari Blum with Microsoft. Now, we've had a history with Microsoft that has stemmed back now, gosh, since the beginning of BizLifeCon. And they are continuously here supporting us and providing great knowledge and just understanding the value of women 40 and 50 plus. And so it is my pleasure to introduce her, where she's going to be talking to you about LinkedIn. And we all know that LinkedIn is the best professional networking platform to make connections and grow your business. So it starts with how you brand yourself, though. Did you know that there are certain tricks that you should be doing? Well, if you didn't, stay tuned next for her session. And thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining my session today. First, I want to take a moment. If we could all just give snaps to Barbara and Lupe, like putting this on today and bringing us together as a community virtually. Ladies, you have done a great job. I am just going to tell you a little bit about myself, and then we'll jump into some tips and tricks with LinkedIn. I'm going to tell you straight up, you guys just get to look at my face today. I am the training team for Microsoft in Colorado and the surrounding areas, and have been doing virtual training since we have gone into our COVID safe modes with our global pandemic. And one of the things I know I personally in this space have missed is seeing people's faces and interacting and knowing that there's someone else across the screen. So as I'm presenting today, if you'd like to follow along in your LinkedIn account and join through there while we're talking and kind of look at where your LinkedIn profile is sitting, it might be a good place to start, but otherwise no death by PowerPoint by me today. So LinkedIn is a Microsoft application. So let me start with some fun facts and numbers to showcase the power of LinkedIn as a professional application for yourself. Our professional community in LinkedIn has over 630 million members, over 30 million companies, and over 20 million job postings. There are over 200 countries and territories represented on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a lot of powerful data, tools, and insights that can help you connect with your opportunities and network within your community. So as I'm highlighting these, again, I strongly recommend jumping into a web browser, going to linkedin.com and looking at your account as a visual while I'm highlighting the tips. If you don't have an account, today might be a great day to get started. So let me start by saying your LinkedIn profile is a digital portfolio that represents and tells your professional story. Think of it less of a resume and more of this dynamic digital portfolio that represents you and tells your professional story and journey that you have gone through. If your profile right now looks like a resume and you see a lot of bullet points on it, or if you pretty much can't tell the difference between your LinkedIn profile and your resume, I'm going to challenge you for a little bit of work today on your profile and really change how you present your professional brand on LinkedIn. So my first tip is getting a great photo. And this should be a photo that represents you. This is showing and telling the professional community who you are. And I have seen a lot in running LinkedIn classes and networking through LinkedIn. You can have a professional headshot. There are a lot out there. People in suits, you can tell it has a great background. Definitely some hair done, makeup done, everything to the T. You can also snap your own photo at home and grab a family member and ask them to hold the camera. I really just want to recommend, if you want your photo to represent you and your professional brand, that you make sure a couple things. One, it's a high resolution photo. Two, that you have good lighting because we want to see your beautiful face. And three, that it features you. LinkedIn will have photo filters in the application so you can update any photos that you do on your own. But the real key is making sure that you're in that photo and that it's showing who you are. In a recent LinkedIn article with one of my business connections, she changed her profile picture to represent herself today in our remote world of working, where we now have these blurred lines of business and professional in our life. And so she changed her picture to represent that barely dried hair, comfy pullover sweater, jeans that are on, slightly frazzled from putting 3 kids into virtual school, but with a smile on and ready to work for the day. You know, this is where Lisa took the opportunity to make her profile picture be authentic and genuine and represent herself as a leader during this global pandemic. So think about that when you're putting your picture together. Is this the snapshot that really shows you and your professional brand? My second tip is writing a unique headline, okay? This is an opportunity to show what you are, not just what you do. If you guys are on LinkedIn right now and probably looking at your connections, you'll notice a lot of people in their headline just put their job title. I'm a training manager, but there is so much more to Mari professionally than just a training manager. Ask yourself when you're writing your headline, if this is the one thing someone sees, what does it convey about you? Does it represent you in that headline? Your profile headline is a great way to show your value and passion in one quick line. If you guys are on LinkedIn, you can go look at mine. In mine, I state my current role as training manager, but I also want to add one thing that I am known for as a manager in my career and one thing I'm passionate about. So hopefully I've drawn you all to network and interest with me, and I'm getting a bunch of new network friends so you can see what else is in my headline. But look me up. Look at other people in your industry and see how they do their headline too. Tip here, if you are seeking employment right now, this is a good space and opportunity to include keywords that recruiters and hiring managers are searching for. This is where you can find them being able to put in a word search. It's in your headline. You're going to pop up and your smiley face is going to be there ready for that next job interview. My third tip is about the about section. So if you're looking on your profile, you have your great picture right now, you have a headline that truly represents not just what you do, but who you are. And right underneath that, there's an about section. Here we want to draft a compelling summary, a summary that is an elevator pitch about you, okay? It explains your career so that listeners in one quick short period of time can focus on your accomplishments and your aspirations. You should have an introduction to yourself before going into these highlights. Fun fact from data from Microsoft, if your about summary is around 40 words, it'll make your profile more likely to turn up in future employer searches and will help your networking. With that said, no need to make it super long. Short and sweet can be in that space, and you don't have to list all of your career accomplishments. You have the experience section for that. Again, I strongly suggest pulling up my LinkedIn if you wanted to look. I talk about where I currently am in my journey and a little bit about myself and my management style and my passion so that everyone really knows what I'm about in my profession, professional space, and what you would get when you work with Mari. So let's talk about experience, right? We all have some great experience, women, right? Like we have been around for 40 or more years. We have been through multiple jobs. Let's talk about our experience and really give a detailed work experience in that space. Again, couple Microsoft-driven data facts. LinkedIn members that are up to date with descriptions in their work experience will get 5 times more connection requests, 8 times more profile views, and 10 times more messaging. So even if you're, in your current role and you've only been there for a little bit, adding a little information in that experience is definitely going to help your views and your networking with LinkedIn. The experience section to me is where you really provide an opportunity to tell your professional story and talk about the accomplishments within each role you have had. You can use bullet points here, but the majority of it should really read like a story. I think this is where you want to really separate the resume from this digital profile that is a professional, compelling profile. I use in mine a professional storytelling. There's a reason why I've chosen which retailers I have worked for and managed for in my career, because that's important to me as an individual, the brands that I represent. Microsoft is a great brand that I represent because their goal is to empower everybody across every organization to do more, no matter what platform is great for, whether we're in a Zoom call or in a Teams call. To us, we want to empower people to be better. That's an organization I'm proud to work for. So as I talk about my professional story and experiences with other companies I've worked for, I like to share that part of the story of why I chose to work for that corporation. Tip, if you've worked for a startup or a smaller company or a self-business that isn't well known, give a brief introduction to the company before diving into your experience space. Again, really let it be that storytelling for people who are getting to know you professionally. So in LinkedIn, you can also help connect with people by adding rich media. And that's something that, again, moves LinkedIn from being just a resume to a professionally driving and compelling story about you. This includes photos, videos, presentation, or anything else visually that can enhance your profile and make it more dynamic. It is great to add it in these spaces. You know, I could follow up with Barbara and Lupe and ask for some video clips of myself today to add into my LinkedIn profile to show that I have shown up in this space, because community and being involved with my community is a passion for me, and I'm happy to support and empower other women within my community. Another space while you're looking in that experience is also your education. Make sure that you include your school and where you went to school and what you studied. One thing that maybe in our past we've been known to do is put when we graduate. That is not necessary in this professional place. It is more about that you received your degree and what your study was in, and that you are networking with other people in the same school or study space as you. It's something I personally recommend pretty much after like 30, let's be honest, we're talking about here, there's ages people, and they will look at your education and try and put a number on you. You don't need that, and it's not necessary. It's not about your professional story. You received your degree in this study, and you're still able to perform in that space. LinkedIn members who list these details have 11 times more profile views and increase their networking. So keep that in mind in that space. It's not every time you fill out a section within LinkedIn, it's going to connect to another person to network with. And it's also going to give more information when people are searching within the application to make those connections and networks for you. My next tip is going to be around utilizing featured skills in the endorsement space on your LinkedIn profile. Couple things here. Members who add 5 or more skills receive 17 times more profile views. One of the things with LinkedIn is we really have developed our skill-based space to advertise the skills that we all carry as business professionals. There's even quizzes you can take, certifications you can post in classes within LinkedIn that you can connect to your profile to show more of the skills that you possess. The other thing that's great with skills is that you have the control to display those skills too within LinkedIn. As we go and transform through our professional journeys, there are some skills that may be new and that are more highlighted for us that we want to push forward in our career, and some other skills that we still obtain but are maybe not a focus. That is a customization that you can do on your profile within skills. The other one is around endorsements. So you are also in control of endorsements. You select who you would like to endorse you. One tip here that I like to add is that whenever you do have someone that you're asking for an endorsement, make sure that you connect with them before that and talk to them about what you actually, is it a project that you are on together that you want them endorsing? Is it a specific skill, a time that you work together? Think of it like any time you would ask for a reference, you would always give that reference a heads up that you were putting them on your reference page and might be getting a phone call. Let your endorsement know, hey, I'm about to send you a LinkedIn endorsement. Would you feel comfortable endorsing me around the project we worked on together at Microsoft? That way they know going into it what you're looking for. Some other awesome extras that I want to throw in with LinkedIn profiles that can be filled out or customized to expand your professional profile and network is joining groups. Sorry. Joining groups on LinkedIn is a great way to expand your network. You should pick into things that are related interests in your industry, ambitions for yourself professionally, but it's a great way to network and stay up to date with trends and news. So example for me, I work for Microsoft, obviously, but I also follow Apple and Amazon and Google. These are all industries that are really important to me right now to see what they're doing so I can connect with all of my customers and also be able to know where my personal company is sitting with everything. A lot going on with technology and a global pandemic and changes. So it gives me constant news to know what else is going on out there. I've also learned by joining multiple groups, it really will, whether it's aspirational projects, will help you start to network. You know, I like to tell a little bit about my journey. If you've pulled up my LinkedIn, I was a retail store manager for 20 years, a little over 20 years. Let's age ourselves. I'm okay with that. And when Microsoft hired me, I never thought that I would be a training manager on Microsoft 365 applications and running projects and teams for large organizations, right? So the story and the things, the groups that I followed have changed, and my networks has changed. I started out just following a retail network group and other retailers. Now I've gone into more of a tech space and Oracle and other interests in AI that as I've grown and transformed in my own professional career, I've grown my networks in the groups that I've joined within LinkedIn. So, quick recap here. Have a great photo. Really have a headline that is going to be capturing. That about space is a storytelling space about you professionally, not a bullet point. Add stories into your experience. Don't let it look like your resume. Now that you have this amazing profile, right, you've added in extras, you've got endorsements from your friends on projects, you've listed your skills and classes and education, badges you've received, pretty robust profile, hopefully here by the end. It's a couple things to keep in mind I want to add now for growing our network and what your network will look like within LinkedIn. One thing you will notice is there are first, second, and third degree connections. Your network is going to consist of strong connections that are people you know well and interact with often. That's going to be your first degree connection. LinkedIn's also going to have a space where you have weaker connections. So acquaintances or people you may not know personally, but have shared background, interests, or mutual connections in common. Those are your second degree connections, people that you share a connection with, and your third degree connections are connected to your second degree connections. This is where I kind of think this is where we go down the line of first cousin, second cousin, and third cousin. Somewhere down the line, we are all connected in that train, how we all get to Kevin Bacon, so to speak. But one thing I want you to look at as you're growing and networking your connections is to take a moment and really look at those second and third degree connections. Research shows that your network connections that are your weak ones, your second and third, are more often the most valuable for your business and for your job search. The people who already know you have done what they are doing for you, right? They're already your fan. They've already worked with you. Those second and third degree connections that don't know as much about you, this is your opportunity. And that's where you want to have your profile ready to go when you go out to network with them or they're coming to network with you. This is where you're going to find huge chances to get to know more people and bring people to your business if you are running your own business. If you're looking for a job right now and transitioning, these are the people who are probably looking to hire and looking for you right now. So look at those second and third degree connections in a different light, and not just as, oh, these are people I don't know on a social network. This is a professional social network. This might be your future employer. This might be the next big person who comes to your business looking for a contract. Don't ignore those connections. They're great ones in that space. So there is a lot more within LinkedIn that you definitely can dive into. You will notice that LinkedIn does hold itself into two separate pages. There is your personal professional profile page, and then you can also start a business profile for your business. You should connect. I always say make sure you have your profile looking great before you start on your business profile, because usually the first place they go after looking at your business is your own personal profile. I can attest to this from moving to remote work here in my house with Microsoft. I have employees virtually reaching out to customers and fans of our application to see if they are interested in training, and they are pinging me on LinkedIn to validate that we are actual Microsoft trainers and not just some weirdos hitting them up online. It is very important to make sure that you have these looking great if you are running your own business, because LinkedIn is a professional space where people will look to validate businesses. I hope these tips that I've thrown at everybody today gives you a reason to kind of go into your LinkedIn profile, give it a little update, see what people are looking at, see what's trending in there. One of the things you'll notice on your profile is after you've changed and made some updates from today, you'll actually start to see your network grow, and you will be able to track and see how many people have viewed your account, how many people have viewed your profile. That is something you can see on LinkedIn, and you can see that change when you make those movements in your profile. I personally have done it. I personally have asked my team that I work with, my trainers, to go in and re-update their profiles so that it's more compelling to network with our customers and other people within our team. So with that, I want to thank everybody. And if there's anything else, feel free to visit us at microsoftstores.com. We do have a centralized virtual calendar that holds 3 LinkedIn courses. Rock your LinkedIn profile to build your profile, build your LinkedIn business profile, and then we also have one to support our military families to build their military profile, since often our military families have to move so often and constantly are in job search and networking search for their next. So if you visit our website, we do have longer extended courses on this, but I hope the tips that I was able to bring today really compel you to get in there and beef up that profile and start networking and get noticed for the beautiful professional that you are. Any questions, anyone?
Mary, what website did you say to check for the trainings?
For the trainings, it's microsoftstores.com. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see over on the bottom left-hand side, there's a virtual training option. And when you land on that page, they actually, what's great now is we have 3 offerings. So if you have people who are in the education space, we have business space, and we've also filled a space for our community. We do coding workshop and STEM workshops for kids. So if you have some youngster family members cooped up in the house and would like them to stop watching just boring TV and maybe something a little more educational, we have classes in that space too.
Question. What would you say about advertising on LinkedIn?
It's a great space, actually. So LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a part of LinkedIn that people can pay on. That's part of the subscription. And the advertising and connections made through LinkedIn, like Sales Navigator, it is qualifies your business and gives you the certified backing that you're legitimate. And that's what a lot of people look for. So even when I prospect within Microsoft for trainings, I mean, my trainings are free, but still prospecting the company, I go through Sales Navigator to see like what they've advertised, how many employees are their business, is it a legitimate business? So it is a very great place, and you're gonna get a lot more response in there because people go to LinkedIn for that secure platform that Microsoft is running that application under. So you know that it's legitimate people in there, that it's been validated. So advertising, you're going to get more advertising because people are going there to look for advertising. They're looking in LinkedIn.
Okay, do you have any good resources for advertising in terms of how to do it well? Because I mean, LinkedIn is very different than Facebook, and I don't know if the terms of service are the same or not. But it's certainly
business class, they actually break down and will step by step. One of the things that's kind of cool about our virtual classes is we'll screen share when we're showing you how to go in and do those things in the application and click it, so you can actually see the clicks. Because to your point, even like I was telling in our earlier breakout, I totally had to pull up Lupe and be like, Zoom, Mari's on Teams all the time, help me out. Like, make sure I'm doing this right. So those classes will show you the click by click, how to go there as a resource for it. But then also within LinkedIn, and a lot of people don't know this about Microsoft applications, is over on the bottom left usually is where you'll find it, is you'll find help. And you can put in the search and it'll literally give you snippets and step-by-steps that really break it down. We've become so much more friendly in how we share how to do stuff in applications. Because I know growing up, it was always PCs and Windows was like, you had to be super smart and there was no way. When I came to Microsoft, I didn't even know what I was thinking coming to Microsoft. I'm like, oh, they want me. I don't know why. And I realized, oh, they have updated, Windows 10 has updated their applications. And you know, when they purchased LinkedIn, a lot of the features and feel of LinkedIn was something we wrapped around when we created our Teams application, in the space of like having those commonalities of the icons so that they're user friendly and very, you know what you're doing when you're going into click. But that's where I would start, Heather. And then there's also within LinkedIn, there's little snippets in there on like what other people have done. So I'll tell you, I don't endorse like copying someone, but you definitely should search and see how others have done it. I say when you're building your resume for a job you want, look at someone who has the job you want and see what their resume looks like.
Mari?
Yeah.
Is there a way to connect with everyone that's part of this program without doing it individually, like an overall connection?
Not through LinkedIn, in that space.
Okay, but I know Barbara showed us one time we were at the last SecondActWomen that was with people together. There was a way that we were able to click something on our phones that allowed us to connect with everyone that was at that event.
So on their event page, so as a business, you can connect. So they would have to provide all of our names into it. So, and then we can connect that way. But usually when you're like in the space of like you personally, you would have to like click on a person at a time. But through a business connection.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I have a quick question. You had mentioned earlier about some key words when you're putting on your summary or putting on your, about,
Headline?
headline. I think I missed those key words. What were they?
Oh, well, it depends on your business, but
Okay.
I separate it into like 3 sections for myself. It's my job title, something I want to represent about my job, and something I'm professionally
Okay.
passionate about. So I'm a training manager. I'm a people developer. It's something that, I like people to know as a manager. If you work for Mari, my goal is to get you to your next and develop you to your next. And then my third is my professional passion within our community. It's very important to me to do community outreach and be involved in my community. So I think it differs for all of us, but I think those are key words, are key ways that I look at the section. If you are looking for a job and there's an industry that you're looking at, that's where I would pull up other people who have that position. And if you see something where it says, organized project manager, maybe that's what you're putting in your headline right now and telling about yourself because you're in that active job search space.
That makes sense. Okay. And then you had said it's not really your resume, but then I start to look up, I've been in I graduated from school in 1996 and I just took it off my LinkedIn page. So thank you for that. My husband told me to take it off my resume as well. But my question is your resume, because I put in my resume, look to LinkedIn for details because I thought my resume should be a 1-page document or maybe minimize it because, I've had so many jobs. I'm a little confused as to what you would say to do. Are all the details supposed to go on the resume and then LinkedIn is supposed to be the story that you're telling?
I think, and this is where it is as we've become more experienced in our professional careers, is 100% correct that we're supposed to go to the one pager. And I usually say you dump anything that isn't within the first 10 years, like recent 10 years, all that gets dumped. And if it's not getting dumped, there's a compelling reason for not dumping it. In that space, maybe it is, you wanted to show like I was with this one company for 10 years or something, and it's a little blurb. But again, I recommend going to mine for like examples, but I worked for Lucy Activewear and I kind of tell about the story of working for Lucy Activewear on the East Coast, and I was their first market manager and I had 4 stores, and I was more about empowering women at any age that they can be healthy and work out, and that's why I came to the company. On my resume, that's where I bullet point out a little bit about that I was running 4 locations over $2 million, because I'm assuming now that I'm in the job interview, the person looking at that resume is going to want the details of that industry because they're aware of it. On LinkedIn, I look at it as that to you, what does a $2 million store mean to you if you don't work in retail? Is that good? Is that bad? Does that matter? And it's actually a fairly low number store for a retail business. It's not a proud space, right? There's bigger ones with Gap and that kind of thing. So that's where I would kind of switch your mindset in there, is that the resume's shown up because they want the details and you're in the interview. This is the hiring, the profile, the professional brand of who you are, and my storytelling of why I did what I did.
Makes
my
sense.
accomplishments, what I really accelerated in. And yes, definitely anything, 10 years is the time frame that's usually recommended for dumping any unnecessary to keep us looking younger. Name of the game.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I will let everyone know, like, my LinkedIn profile changed when I started working for Microsoft and running these classes, and actually had someone teach me my first class. And I did see those increases in my network, increases in messaging, job offers, networking, recruiters coming. And like I said, since we have gone virtual, I've also even seen it for business owners in the business space where people are qualifying that we are Microsoft trainers and that we can come and train in that space. So it is definitely, you guys will see a difference once that happens. So I will send it back over to Barbara and Lupe. Thanks, guys.